Okay, buenas tardes. Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Lily Pinedo Giangay, and I'm the Program Director of the Chicanx Latinx Student Success Center here at San Jose State University. And it's my pleasure to welcome you all to our Academic Resilience Series. This is the fifth one in the series, so we're second to our last one. So this one is specifically titled Develop Positive Relationships with Professors. And this one for me is near and dear because when I was an undergraduate, it took me a while to develop those positive relationships with faculty. I didn't really know or understand why I needed to until closer to my senior year. And it was unfortunate because now in my new role here at San Jose State, I've been already here for 6 years, but in my role as the director of the Centro, I've gotten to know so many of our professors at our campus, and to think about the amount of support that they offer our students is just incredible. And so I've had an honor of working with Jonathan and actually knowing Dr. Gomez since back in our days at UC Santa Cruz. We both did our undergraduate studies there, and I had an opportunity to know Jonathan and work there with him and community with him. And now he's at San Jose State in the Department of Chicana and Chicano Studies. And I'm just so happy that he's been working with Centro now since its opening, and has really contributed a lot to supporting our Latinx students at San Jose State. And so I'm just happy that he will be here presenting information on how you can start developing or enhancing the relationships that you might have already started with some of your professors. And if you haven't had a chance to do that yet, you are in the prime time to do it. So I want to welcome Dr. Jonathan Gomez, and he will lead us through this presentation today. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Lily. It's always an honor and a pleasure to, work with the Centro. And, I'm just always, so grateful to be invited to engage with students, right? So students that are present today, thank you so much for, making the time to be here and giving me the opportunity to get to know who you are, right? And so, this is a great intimate group, right? It's going to allow us to, hear from everyone. And so maybe if you're okay with this, I would love to hear who's here. Like, Wendy Gomez, as we have, at least from what I know, there's no relation, right? But because we have the same last name, you mind if I call on you to introduce yourself and let me know, what you're studying, what's your major, and so hold on, let's do this. So major, hometown, and then let's follow up on Lily's question, right? Like, what are you thinking about having for dinner?
My name is Wendy Gomez, like Jonathan Gomez. My major is sociology, and I'm a second-year student. And for dinner, I don't know, probably some fish and rice.
All right, nice. Dang, okay. And so I'm going to give you the honor, Wendy, of choosing the next person to share.
Okay, well, the next person that I see is Eric Fajardo.
All right.
Hello, I'm Eric. I'm my first year in San Jose State. My first year. Right now, I have a design. I'm on this line studying, but I want like to study justice studies.
All right.
And for dinner, I don't know what I will eat for dinner.
All right. It's still a little early, right? It's 4 o'clock. But thank you, Eric. And now, Eric, you have an opportunity to choose our next person.
The next person is Piana.
All right.
Hello, my name is Diana Lopez, and my major is political science. I'm a transfer student, and this is my third year. And my first semester at SJSU. And I think for dinner I'm going to have soup because it's getting cold.
Yeah, the thing with Latinx folks, right? It hits like it hits like, 70s and it's like season for caldo, right?
Yes.
So, you know, but yeah, I'm excited about the weather change as well. So Diana, you can choose the next person, please.
Sure. I'm going to choose Isabel Mazariegos.
All right.
Hey, hi everyone. My name's Isabel. I'm a business major. And for dinner, I have no idea what I'm gonna have, to be honest. Hopefully
Right on.
something a little spicy at least. So,
All
yeah.
right, nice. And now, Isabel, it's your turn to choose the next person.
Brianna.
All right. You're a little spotty. Can you say something again? Okay.
Can you guys hear me now?
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, so my name is Brianna. I'm a social work major for now, but I hope to change it to forensics or nursing later on. Class. I'm a freshman, and for dinner, I don't know, popcorn maybe. I don't know.
Nice.
But yeah.
So thank you, Brianna. Now you have who is left? We have Victor and Mai. So you get to choose either Victor or Mai.
Victor.
Sorry, what was the questions? I got here kind of late.
Oh, it was, well, we know your name, right? Your major. Folks have been sharing their class level and what you're having for dinner.
Okay, well, my name is Victor. I'm a freshman here in San Jose State. I am currently a justice studies major, and I just had some enchiladas right now, like 5 minutes ago.
Oh, nice. All right. Well, last but not least, Mai Vu, please.
Hi, I'm Maivo. My major is liberal study, become elementary teacher. I prepare the dinner food, rice, beef, and soup.
Oh, nice. Right on. Yeah, I put there in the chat that for dinner, I'm gonna make tostadas de picadillo, and then I always make like a salad with it and stuff like that. So that's what I'll be making for dinner today. But you know what? Lily hasn't let us know what's for dinner, what she's having for dinner. So you gotta I'm curious. I want to know.
So I'm planning turkey nachos.
All right.
So that was supposed to be dinner last night, but I forgot to take the turkey out of the freezer. So so it's unfrozen now. So we're gonna do a healthier version of nachos using turkey instead of the regular meat. The regular meat.
Nice.
So.
Nice. Right on. Well, it's so wonderful to be here with y'all, right? And we have like a great sample of just different majors, right? We have social in the house, justice studies, business, social work with the hope of moving to forensics or nursing, liberal studies, justice study. I think I said justice studies. And so this is great, and as Lily mentioned, right, I'm a professor in Chicana studies. But when I was a university student, even when I was a community college student, my major was sociology, right? And so I began my education at East LA College. That's where I really had the opportunity to go to school in an environment where my professors really were interested in my success, right? And so I give East LA College a lot of credit for giving me this opportunity of getting on the path to become a professor. And then, as Lily mentioned earlier as well, I went to UC Santa Cruz, and that's where Lily and I met as undergraduate students. And there, my major was sociology, But when I transferred there, I started taking courses in what they have a department there called Latin American and Latinx Studies. And then they also have a department there called Community Studies. And so I was in Soc, Community Studies, and Latin American and Latinx Studies. And, so I had this really wonderful interdisciplinary education. And then with the mentorship, right, that I created there, right, with professors, right, given the topic of today's, workshop on developing positive relationships with professors, my professors, really encouraged me to pursue different opportunities on our campus, right? Research, um, just to participate in various campus events. And then also in teaching, right, in the community. And so, with that, I was encouraged to go to pursue a PhD. And so after my undergraduate studies, I went ahead and applied to graduate school, and I got into UC Santa Barbara, where I earned my PhD in sociology with an emphasis in Black studies and a research concentration on Chicanx communities, right? And so I know it's kind of a lot, right? I threw a lot on the table. We can definitely, talk about that if you want to later today or at a later moment, right? But for today, I wanted just to have a conversation with y'all about why it's important to, or why you think it's important to develop a positive relationship with professors. I can give you some ideas about why I think it's important that you do. And then I'm going to provide you with a worksheet. Maybe some of you already received it via email, that some of your peers at SJSU have created consejos, right, where they're offering you, these various insights from their experience at developing relationships, okay? But before we begin, I want to ask that you, I want to ask your permission, right? Is it okay if you get like a pen and a paper, or if you can be prepared to write on your laptops? Is that something you can do? Yeah, all right, I see a thumbs up. I see some heads nodding. All right, cool. Because I think, I want to start this off by concentrating on the gifts that each of you have, right? You might, some of you might be, already thinking about the gifts that you bring to SJSU. But if you're anything like me, when I was an undergraduate student, I didn't really think I had gifts, right? And so I'm here telling you now, right, that you have gifts, right? And I'm going to encourage us to think about what those are. And so to do this, I'm going to read y'all a poem. Is that okay? Is that okay? Okay, cool. Thank you. So this poem, is a piece that whenever I work with communities, I like reading it, right? Because I think it explores, well, how about I just read it and then we could talk about it, what it explores. The title is called Piece by Piece, and the poet's name is Luis J. Rodriguez. We have one more person coming in. Let them come in and we'll give them the 411. I believe Emmy Rosales just joined us, right? And I think Jennifer Wang joined us. And so welcome to this workshop on developing positive relationships with professors. And so what I just asked the group right now was to get prepared to do a free write. But before we do the free write, I'm going to read a poem, and then we're going to do like a free write reflection on the piece, okay? So here it goes. It's entitled Piece by Piece by Luis J. Rodriguez, a poet that I look up to a lot. Piece by piece, they tear at you, peeling away layers of being, lying about who you are, speaking for your dreams. In the squalor of their eyes, you are an outlaw, dressing you in a jacket of lies, tailor-made in steel. You fit their perfect picture. Take it off. Make your own mantle. Question the interrogators. Eyeball the death in their gaze. Say you won't succumb. Say you won't believe them when they rename you. Say you won't accept their codes, their colors, their putrid morals. Here, you have a way. Here, you can sing victory. Here, you are not a conquered race, perpetual victim, the sullen face in a thunderstorm. Hands, mind, they are carving out a sanctuary. Use these weapons against them. Use your given gifts. They are not stone. Okay, so what I'm going to ask you to do, and I'm going to type out the questions here in the chat, but let me say them first, right? And it's that, you know, what is a gift that you have that you offer to people, right? So what is your gift? Or let me frame it. What is a gift you offer to others? When did you, or how did you develop this gift? And when did you first use it? So I'm going to set a timer for 5 minutes, and then we'll come back together, and then I'll share my reflection, and then I'll invite y'all to share yours. Does that sound okay? All right, cool. Thank you. So the timer is being set, and then I'll mute myself. So, okay. As all of you know, right, we live in a world where people like to create certain narratives about our respective communities, right? They like creating stories about, you know, people who live in the communities where we live, who look like the people that we look like. And sometimes, most of the time, right, those narratives, those stories that they tell don't reflect who we are, right? They don't encompass everything that we bring to the table. And so, you know, that poem, you know, is an encouragement to break those molds that don't encompass who you are, right? To break those frames that try to enclose you into a certain, you know, um, a certain being that's not you, you know? And so at the end, you know, it's a beautiful ending to me, right? Where the author is reminding us to, you know, with hands and minds, to, you know, create our gifts, right? To carve it out, and that they're not made in stone. And so, you know, for me, I think that one of the gifts that I bring to the work that I do at SJSU is being an attentive listener, you know. And I developed that gift in graduate school, right? Because, and I'm very, you know, privileged that I had the opportunity to do so, because before that, you know, I used to be the kind of person that I would hear what people were saying, but I was hearing for the moment when I can start talking, you know what I mean? And I learned how to be someone that was different than that, right? Someone that was truly and genuinely listening to people to learn, you know, listening to learn, you know, what they were saying. And that's different than simply hearing what people are saying to determine the moment you can jump in and start, you know, saying something that you're thinking. Now, it's important to share what we have to think, right? But I think, you know, when we listen to learn is when we can create connections with people that, you know, aren't always like us, or come from different communities as us, or, you know, even if they come from the same community as us, we get to know who they really are because we're attentively listening. And, you know, when did I first use it? I first used it in 2010 when I thought about this, so that's why I can give you a year, that I began to facilitate poetry workshops for high school students that were attending a continuation high school in Santa Barbara. That's where I went to graduate school. And I was listening to them, and I had the idea or the feeling that it was the first time in a while that anyone of authority was actually listening to what they had to say. And wherever I've traveled since then, I take this gift with me, you know. And so, what are your gifts, right? What are the things that you reflected on? I chose Wendy for the first time last time, so I'm not going to choose Wendy again. Wendy, and you know, Wendy, I just realized we're both wearing yellow as well. So, you know, great color choice today. Isabel, what's your gift?
I think, sorry, my mom is making salsa and it's really, like the smoke is in the air, so I might cough. But I think a gift that I have is sympathy. And I think I just developed this gift as a kid just because of how I grew up. And with the things that I went through, and I saw how certain people around me showed me sympathy, and I just really, like, I don't know how to say it, like catched on to that or held on to that, and I made it like one of my like most important characteristics, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right on. Thank you. And how lucky are you? You said you wanted to eat something spicy for dinner, and your mom's making salsa. Dang.
Yeah, but it's like killing me right now. Like my throat is like probably needs some water.
Right on. Well, thank you so much for sharing. Right, and now Isabel, for going first, you get to choose the next person.
I don't know. Well, the first person I see is Diana.
All right.
Okay, so the gift I have to offer is that I am able to balance between the different languages and different cultures. So the reason I'm telling so is that my parents are Peruvian, but I was born in Italy. I lived there my whole life, and I've been in the US for 5 years. So mostly like it's either like I translated for my family, or maybe I encountered so many people that are from Italy, and maybe we share like similar communities, and I'm always the one who like try to I try to help them in whatever they want, even if it's a document. I'm willing like to do all the papers and explain them everything, and it's something that I enjoy to help people.
Wow. Thank you so much. And you know, Diana, now you can choose the next person.
Eric.
All right. Thank you.
Eric.
Is that about me? So I hear. So for me, I'm not sure about my gift, but I think for me, my gift is like like to repress like to present all the purpose of my life to another, like how I it like give the purpose to my life to another people's life. And for the second question, like I'm not sure about like yeah, I don't know. I think
It's
like
okay.
yeah, so I still like
No worries. You can choose our next person, but thank you so much for sharing that.
okay. The first is Wendy.
Wendy. All right.
Um, the the gift that I would say I have to offer to others would be listening and being able to well, I kind of like mixed it with sympathizing and listening, just because I feel like I went through something very traumatic in the past, and I've had like people like one of my friends. I realized that she listened to me and just didn't just being there to listen to me like was really stood out to me, and I think because of that, um, I learned to just listen to others, because even if you don't say anything sometimes, because people, you may not know what to say, or people don't really expect you to say anything, just being there for someone could really be impactful. And especially now with like everything going on and like all these racial injustices, sometimes all people want is to just be like heard.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Wow. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you. And please now choose the next person, please.
Emmy?
All right.
Okay, hi. So I think a gift that I can give to others is understanding and the opportunity to express themselves. I think I developed this gift over time just as I kind of got more exposure to like different environments and surrounding myself with different people who share differences and different points of views. Um, and I'm not sure exactly when like I first used this. I feel like it was also kind of gradual. But I remember there was this one time, I think like in high school, where I was just kind of like, I decided to like, I feel like sometimes it's so easy to like judge people and stuff, even like mindlessly, without a bad intention or anything. But I feel like it's just kind of like something in it within us, where it's just kind of like a natural thing sometimes that we just like make quick assumptions. So I kind of like decided to be more aware of that and like stop making assumptions about others before I actually get to know them. So I feel like that's something I can offer to others, just being like a person who can understand you, even if we're like very different from one another.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you for that, Emmy. And I believe next we have Brianna, Mai, and Victor. So you get to choose any one of those folks.
I'll go with Victor.
Thank you.
The gift that I can offer is patience, and I feel like I developed this just by understanding that not everybody is like great at everything. People struggle with certain things, and you just have to be there for them and wait for them until, or just support them until they're able to grasp certain things. And I'm not sure when I first used it, but I have been patient with a lot of people, a lot of my friends.
Wow. Thank you, Victor. You can choose Mai or Brianna.
I'll go with Brianna.
Hi, so my gift is more of a concrete gift, which is my artistic ability. And I guess I developed this gift through, I guess, like curiosity and creativity. Like, ever since I remember, I've liked to draw and paint. And I just use it to lighten other people's days. Like, such as my sister wakes up at 5 in the morning to go to work. So at night, I stay like behind and I draw her a little picture with the like, oh, I hope you have a nice day or whatever. And so that she finds it in her lunchbox when she goes to work in the morning. And she always comes home and she's like, I found your little note, and how like it like makes her day a little better since she has long days. And I guess moving on, I started using it more to like represent my heritage and culture. And yeah, I guess that's it.
Wow. Thank you so much. Appreciate you sharing that. Mai, please, what is your gift?
So my situation like Diana, because the English is a second language. The gift I give someone here is the confidence, because in the first time I remember when I come here, my English very bad and they don't understand at all. But I think the day by day, and I feel the more confident. And right now I can speak fluently than before. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you, Mai. And so y'all might be asking yourself, right? Like, why is this professor asking me what my gifts are, right? And, I wanted us to be intentional about this, and I wanted us to, start this way because, you know, when you approach a professor, right, I want you to remember, right, that you're not um, arriving empty-handed, right? That you have gifts already, right? And, you know, here at the university, right, you have an opportunity to develop those gifts even further, right? And you can do that by taking the coursework that you're taking or attending workshops or panels or, different things that the Centro offers, right? As well as other events that will be available on campus and by different offices and centers. And so, it's being a university student, you have, the ability to, you know, whether you feel that your gift that you have right now is at its max and you want to pick up another gift, right? This is the opportunity for you to do that, right? But in relationship to today's, conversation about developing relationships with professors, you have something, right? And you have to ask yourself, right? And this, and I'm honest about this, right? Is why why should you give a professor the honor of knowing who you are and what your gifts are, right? Oftentimes it's, why should a professor give you the time of day, right? But really it's you have to believe in yourself and your gifts and realize that you have something to contribute, right? And we have to have, my mentor, he called this a modest audacity, right? Where it's respectful, right? But we're also audacious in that, like, no, like I am important, right? And my education matters to me, and I have a right to develop relationships with people who are going to allow me to reach my dreams, right? And so, I'm curious, right? Does anyone in this room, right, in this Zoom room, right? Does anyone in this room have a relationship with the professor that they're proud of? Does anyone?
Hi, my name is Anima. I just got here a little while ago, but I have I've met a professor. I've met a couple actually that I'm really grateful for the relationship that I'm having with them, because it's feeling it's not a relationship of them or the the higher being, and I'm just this squiggly student. It's they they have really helped me believe in myself that I am also bringing something to the table. Um, and that has really impacted me in a way to where I'm not saying like it's all up to them. It's where I am becoming one of them in sort of a way. They're teaching me these things, but they're also giving me the dual respect as person to person, right? And I'm really grateful for these few professors I have met. I have previously met um, others that did not give that at all whatsoever, and that's really sad. So, giving recognition to these professors, I've made sure to do that.
Wow, thank you, Jemima. I appreciate you sharing that, right? And so if I could just, reiterate, you said it's not a hierarchical relationship, right? Where you're this lowly student and they're this, professor that's up here. And that they recognize that you bring something to the table and you said that you feel that you're becoming one of them in a way, right? And it's a relationship, you know, that has mutual respect, right? You respect them and they respect you. And that's, I think, you know, you hit, you know, so many important, you know, points about the kind of relationship you should develop with professors, right? Where they recognize you're bringing something to the table, right? You know, I'm wondering, you know, and Lily, please feel free to ask questions as well. But, you know, I'm curious to know, right? Like, what are some of your experiences, if you have any, at developing relationships with professors? Um, and if you have any questions, right, for me, I'd love to hear them. All right, let me ask you a question then, right? Why do you want to develop a relationship with the professor? What is you know, what is your hopes? What are your hopes? I saw Diana kind of smirking a little bit. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Like, why would you want to develop a relationship with a professor?
I think so. Like generally, the way we think, like having a connection with a professor is like maybe the professor can write a letter of recommendation or something like that. And personally, like I was like very afraid. Like I didn't have any connection with the professor, but there is this specific professor that I just started to have more connection this semester, even though she was like in my community college. And we had like a fantastic like phone call, and I felt it was more than that. It was like more human relationship, you know, more than giving a letter of recommendation, because they not only have to be like your professors or like just an area, but also they can make you grow like as a person.
Beautiful, beautiful. And so, you know, I think, yeah, like that's definitely something that I want y'all to think about, right? Which Diana said right now, letter of recommendation, right? And this could be for, you know, a job. This could be for an internship. This could be for graduate school. This could be for a range of different, you know, reasons, right? And, you know, in my case, right, it was basically just graduate school, right? Like I needed them for graduate school, and I'm so glad that I was able to develop, you know, those relationships. But, you know, for me, it's been such a long time, you know, that I was in your position, that instead of me thinking back to what worked for me, which I have included some of that in this conversation, I asked some of your peers that I have opportunities to you know, work with here at SJSU. So as I mentioned, right, I'm a professor in CCS, but I'm also the advisor for the you know, the minor and the major. So I'm constantly meeting with students each week, talking about their success or talking about the courses they're taking. But then in addition to that, I'm also a part of a group on campus that's called the Culture Counts Reading Series, right? And we meet every other week. And if any of you are interested in you know, meeting with me and having conversations about this semester, we're focusing on you know, issues related to migrant communities. But you're welcome to that. I'm also the advisor for a student organization that's called Semillas. And so if you're interested in Semillas, you know, we're actually going to have on the 19th with the Centro a poetry event. So I encourage you, when you see that flyer, go out to attend. But there are different ways you can get engaged with me. But what I did was, in preparation for this engagement that we're having, I asked students to provide some, you know, consejos or advice about what has worked for them in developing relationships with professors. And can we pull that up, Lily? Yeah. And, you know, I want to go down this list with y'all, right? And I want to have, you know, I want to share this with you. You'll have it available to you. And then after this, I'm going to invite you to participate in something with me, right? But I'll get into that when that time comes. And so, let me know when y'all, okay, there it is right there. and it's in the chat. You can click it. Let me know when y'all open that up. If not, it's okay, because I'm going to read them, right? So I wrote here at the top, right, that like, it's important part of academic success, or an important part of academic success is achieved through the support you will receive from a learning community. And this community is filled with people that you can rely on for educational and moral support, as well as for other forms of care that you might need throughout your journey. You may find some members of your learning community, but most relationships that make up your community will have to be made and cultivated, right? You're gonna have to give to it. You're gonna have to care for it, right? And in this mix, professors make up one group of people that should be present in your community. We're just one group, okay? And you're gonna have other members, right? You're gonna have, the directors of centers like Lily, right? So y'all are getting to know Lily. She's the director of the Centro. And then you're gonna meet other peers, right? The various mentors that work in the Centro. You're gonna meet each other, right? So the folks here on this Zoom meeting together. And then you'll meet folks in your classes, and so on and so forth, right? Those are the different people that make up our learning community, okay? And so there are different reasons for choosing to include a professor in your community. As your peers were saying, right? Sometimes it's about, a letter of reference. Jamima was talking about, right? It's about mentorship and learning together. But it's really about advising, mentorship, and support for your future endeavors, okay? And as you set out to develop your learning community, there is no one way to do it, right? So sometimes if you're anything like me, I would look at my friends and be like, dang, they're going to like all the office hours of all their professors, and I only went to like one. Well, you know what? That was their way, and that worked for them. That's what I learned in the long run, right? And my way, that was what worked for me, right? I'm the kind of person that likes to develop, relationships at, and so one or two at a time, a semester, that's what worked for me, okay? And so whatever way works for you, that is your journey, okay? Or that's your path that you're creating for yourself, okay? And so there are many ways to build your community. And an important part of this process is never forget that you are worth every positive relationship you create, and worth leaving behind every relationship that does not allow you to become your best student and self. And so sometimes, some of my colleagues, right, some of my professors, they're not too sharp with talking, with students. And so you go to their office hours and it's like dead silent, right? And you might ask something and they give you one quick answer, and then it's silent. And you're like, oh, snap. All right, see you later. And, it's okay, right? It doesn't mean that, you failed at anything. It just means that, either you could try again, right? Especially if you really like their course and you like what they're saying, right? Or you can, survey around you, right? Who are the other professors that you're taking courses with? And, who else is around for you to go to, okay? But here are some consejos, right, or advice that I gathered from students, okay? And so number one, right, your journey is your journey. Honor who you are and where you are at in your education. It is your journey, and you owe it to yourself to choose a major that gives you joy in your life and that allows you to feel empowered, okay? And so, this was, this consejo was offered by a recent alumni, right? And so they still participate in the Culture Counts reading series. And for them, right, when they came to SJSU, they were majoring in something that they thought would make their parents proud. But after a couple of years of having a hard time at that particular major, they decided to go with something that brought them joy, but they weren't too sure about how their parents would feel about switching majors. But, they had to dig deep and figure out that it was their passion, and that, they had to do it for themselves. Now, they wanted to make their parents proud, right? I'm not saying you don't want to make your parents proud, right? We all want to make our folks proud. But it's about what brings you joy in your life, and something that makes you feel empowered. Number two, right? Let your passion guide you. When I develop positive relationships with professors, I introduce myself after class And then I let them know that I really enjoy what we're learning about in class and what I like about it. I do this so when I go to office hours, I can remind them that I introduce myself to them, and then I ask them questions about the books or articles we are reading. That's a smart way to do it, right? 3, know when office hours are. This one time I met a professor at a campus event and then went to visit them in office hours. Whenever I went to her office, she was never there. A friend told me to look them up online to see if they had information about their office hours. And sure enough, they did. I was able to email her to schedule a meeting to talk about what classes they teach, right? And you know, you can actually do that by finding out a professor's name. And you know the way the web works today, right? You can type in their name, type in SJSU. If you know what department they're in, that's even better. And you can find many leads to find them. Or if you know you ask around, people will be able to connect you.
Jonathan, if I may, real quick, just to add to that note, there are a lot of faculty who, especially on your syllabi, right, in your class syllabi, they'll say, this is when my office hours are. Don't be afraid to ask, just in case those hours don't work with your particular schedule. You can always reach out and ask, is there a different, can I make an appointment with you at an alternative time, because the times that you have office hours are conflicting. I'm either in a class or I'm working or what have you. More than likely faculty are open to scheduling appointments that are outside of their office hours. So don't be afraid to follow up with them and see if there are alternative times that can meet with your schedule. Because I could tell you, I've had so many students say, but I can't make their office hours. And so they just assume then these faculty are inaccessible to them. So I encourage you to also follow up in case those office hours don't work with your schedule.
No, you're absolutely right, Lily. And you know, one thing that I recognize that professors will do is, right, they'll ask you what are the hours or days that work for you. So when you do that, be prepared to know, or to let them know which days and times, right? Provide them with some options to choose from, right? So that's a wonderful tip, Lily. And so, you know, the next one is, the next one was 5, right? Office hours. Oh no, excuse me, number 4, right? Challenge yourself to participate in class. Challenge yourself to come up with something to say in class. Sometimes in Zoom, I will ask a question in the chat or share a thought about the lecture. Professors recognize who participates, so try your best to be involved, right? I think that's smart, right? Office hours is a good place to develop a positive relationship. I go to office hours every few weeks. I put it in my calendar so I can get a reminder to set up a meeting. It's a good place to go over an equation or just ask questions about industry. That's from an engineering student that I work with, and they are very organized, right? And they go with a whole set of a list of things to talk about, and so that might work for you, right? Number 6, make sure professors know your name and your goals. In class or during office hours, let them know your name, and then let them know what kind of goals you have for yourself. When I do this, I ask them if they have any advice for me, and they usually do. See, one thing that you'll see is that professors like to talk, right? So if you ask them questions, right, they'll open up and begin to provide you with some ideas about how to achieve success, okay? 7, always do your best in class. You might not always get the grade you want, but professors know who is doing their best. This one time I got a B in a class that was really hard, but the professor knew that I was doing my best. I didn't get an A, but they knew I was working hard. I know this because the next semester they emailed me to see if I wanted to work in their lab for the summer. I know they did this because they saw that I was a hard worker, right? And, you know, I as a professor, you know, I know who's reading, I know who's engaged in the materials, and I know who's doing their best, right? And so I like that advice a lot, right?
Dr. Gomez, otra pregunta, sorry to
Please.
interrupt, because it's one that I've been hearing a lot these last couple of weeks from some of the students that we work with, especially because many of you have already gone through a wave of midterms or already maybe a second wave of midterms, and you've been receiving your scores and they might not truly reflect what you've learned. I know for me, I always had a lot of test anxiety, and I know that my performance on exams never demonstrated the actual knowledge that I gained from being in the course. So what advice do you have, Dr. Gomez, for students who may have gone through a wave of midterms and their grades just did not reflect the hard work that they put into studying for that?
Yeah. So that's a great question, you know, and if any of you are experiencing that, one thing that a student did a couple of weeks ago, well, what are we? Actually, yeah, a couple of weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, you know, a student earned a C in our midterm, right? And you know what they did, and I highly suggest you do this, right? You might write an email to the professor and let them know that what this student did was they let me know that they didn't do their best and that it didn't reflect, you know, who they are as a student. And so think about reaching out via email to set up a meeting and let them know that, you know, it is your wish to do better. And I know it's kind of vague, but you know, if any of you are interested in that, I will help you craft that email. So you can reach out to me and we can craft it together if you like, okay? Lily, you will provide them with my email, or did the folks who are here have my, yeah? Okay.
Yeah, so we'll follow up. We'll be sending everybody an evaluation to give us some feedback on the event, but we'll also include the attachments for this document and then Dr. Gomez's contact information.
Okay, great. And so there's two more things. There's one more, and then I have a question for you. Okay, so the last one is don't forget them after the semester is over. Just because a semester ends doesn't mean to forget a professor. You can still email them and visit their office hours. Say hi to them. I started laughing at this. Say hi to them when you see them on campus. I think that's a good idea. I developed, of course, we're in Zoom right now, right? But, you know, if you're ever, well, when we get back on campus, if you're ever walking down the hall and you see a professor, say hello if you've taken a class with them. I developed a positive relationship with the professor after I took their course. I did this by emailing them and asking for more readings on the topics we read about in their class. Before COVID-19, he actually gave me books that he said I should read. And, you know, I know that a lot of these kind of reflect a pre-COVID moment, but I think that one thing that I see across these different consejos or this different set of advice is utilizing your email and setting up office hours to, you know, have a chance to engage with the professor, right? Now, I want to respect your time. It's 5 o'clock, right? But a part of the work that I'm doing on campus is that I'm in what's called a faculty learning community. And I meet with professors from different departments. And at the end of this semester, I'm going to have a presentation to my colleagues about how they could develop relationships with students. Now, you don't have to answer this question right now, but if you're interested in meeting with me in the next week to develop some tips for professors to develop relationships with students, I would greatly appreciate, you know, working with you, right? And so you're going to get my email, and if you're interested, you know, please let me know. And I know who was in this meeting because I took notes, and so I'm also going to do the extra work of reaching out to you to see if you'd be interested. Okay. You know, there's one last thing I want to say is that, you know, this work is of developing relationships and developing your learning community. It takes work, right? And so I mentioned about building because, you know, sometimes we find community, right? Sometimes we stumble upon the right Zoom meeting. Sometimes we stumble upon the right event. But oftentimes it takes us to reach out to folks. It takes us to utilize the different kinds of, you know, right now, right, the applications that are available to us to meet with folks, right? And so I just encourage you all to use the tools that you have and don't forget the gifts that you have, okay? Do you have any last questions or comments before we get going? No? Well, just know that you're worth it and that I'm here as a resource. You got to know me, and I would be honored if you got to, if you chose to develop a relationship with me at SJSU. Okay.
Thank you so much, Professor Gomez, for that wonderful presentation. It's more, it wasn't, I like to call some of these events not really presentations, as it is like cariño, right? Care coming from our faculty, these consejos, this advice that they're offering based on their own personal experiences. We shared, both Dr. Gomez and I were undergraduates. We're both first-gen college students. And so learning how to navigate college and how to cultivate those relationships, luckily we were both very much sponsored and supported by our mentors that we still keep in touch today. Like Dr. Gomez said, like every now and then, let them know how you're doing and update them, even if it's been a few years that have gone by. But I still keep in touch with some of those mentors that I eventually had the opportunity to meet with after I graduated. And so for those of you that are in your first or second year at San Jose State, like now is the good time to start reaching out. And as Dr. Gomez said, look to find those support systems, and being connected to Centro is one way, being connected to Dr. Gomez and Chicano Studies is another, through your own departments. Your academic advisors can definitely also be of great support. As Dr. Gomez said, he's a faculty academic advisor for Chicano Studies. So don't hesitate to reach out to us and ask for that support. We're here for you. And I will also share, hopefully in the spring semester, Dr. Gomez in the past has facilitated office hours with Centro, so we're hoping to bring that back again in the spring, so that you can connect with him and other professors that already are connected to Centro. So as of right now, we have maybe about 6 professors from across the colleges that offer office hours. And I think it might have been Wendy. I don't know if it was Wendy who shared the importance of, they don't have to be professors who you're taking classes with to establish those relationships. So we invite you to check out the office hours through our Centro. I'll put in here our Centro LinkedIn account, and you'll be able to see who the professors are that offer Centro office hours between now and the end of the semester.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Lily. And I just can't stress enough, y'all, that like it's really about becoming part of a learning community, right? And and there's different members a part of that learning community. And so I think, utilizing every opportunity you have to bring people into your community and for you to become a part of others, is something that, I can't stress enough. But like I mentioned, right, you're going to hear from me, and, I would love the opportunity to think with you about how we can get professors thinking about how they can develop relationships with students. Okay. And again, thank y'all. I hope you make it to that, the dinner that y'all said that you wanted to have, that you're planning to have. And I'm just so thankful for the opportunity to be here with you this evening. Okay.
Thank you everyone for joining us. Adios.
Thank you.
Thank you. I really like the energy that was here. It felt really comfortable, like being able to talk like about these type of things, especially now because everything on Zoom, it can be like very hard and overwhelming. So thank you.
Right on. Thank you.